Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the last lesson of your second unit, The Hour of Truth, written by Percival Wilde. Percival Wilde is a very popular American playwright and a well-known novelist. The Hour of Truth is a one-act play which comprises of a single scene. The whole incident of this story takes place in the parlor of a little cottage, and it brilliantly exposes the greed and the corrupting influence of money on man.
മനുഷ്യന്റെ പണത്തോടുള്ള ആർത്തിയും മനുഷ്യനെ അത് എത്രമാത്രം മോശമാക്കുന്നുവെന്നും കാണിച്ചു തരുന്ന വളരെ നല്ല ഒരു നാടകമാണ് പെർസിവൽ വൈൽഡിന്റെ ദ അവർ ഓഫ് ട്രൂത്ത്. സത്യസന്ധമായി നിലകൊള്ളുക എന്നത് ഇക്കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ ഒട്ടും എളുപ്പമല്ല എന്ന് നമുക്കറിയാം. എത്രമാത്രം കൃത്യമായ നിലപാടുകൾ സ്വീകരിക്കുന്ന ആളുകളും ഒരു പ്രശ്നമുഖത്തെത്തുമ്പോൾ ഇക്കാലം അത്രയും തങ്ങൾ കൊണ്ട് നടന്ന മഹത്വവും ധാർമ്മിക മൂല്യങ്ങളും കൈവിടുന്നതായി നമുക്ക് കാണാവുന്നതാണ്. ഏതൊക്കെ പ്രലോഭനങ്ങളിൽ പെട്ടുപോയാലും സത്യസന്ധമായി നിലകൊള്ളുമ്പോഴാണ് ഒരുവന്റെ ശരിയായ ധാർമ്മികത നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാകുന്നത്. ജീവിതത്തിലുടനീളം പണമുണ്ടാക്കാനുള്ള വ്യഗ്രതയ്ക്കും നെട്ടോട്ടത്തിനുമിടയിൽ പെട്ടുപോകുന്നതാണ് ഇന്നത്തെ മനുഷ്യജീവിതം. പക്ഷേ എല്ലാ അത്യാഗ്രഹത്തിനുമൊടുവിൽ അന്തിയുറങ്ങാൻ ഒരാറടി മണ്ണ് മാത്രമേ വേണ്ടൂ എന്ന് തിരിച്ചറിയുമ്പോഴാണ് തൻ്റെ പെടാപ്പാടുകൾക്കും സമ്പാദിച്ചു കൂട്ടിയതിനുമൊന്നും യാതൊരു മൂല്യവുമില്ലായിരുന്നുവെന്ന് അവന് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നത്. മനുഷ്യന്റെ പണത്തോടുള്ള അത്യാർത്തി അടങ്ങാത്തതാണ്. അത് മനുഷ്യനുള്ളിടത്തോളം കാലം നിലനിൽക്കുകയും ചെയ്യും.
Okay, students, let's now meet the characters of this one-act play. Mr. Robert Baldwin is the central character of this play. He is the secretary of a private bank owned by his dear friend Mr. John Graysham. He lives with his wife Martha and his two children, John and Evie. We also find Mr. Marshall, a wealthy banker, making his entry towards the end of the play. Another predominant character of this one-act play is Mr. John Grisham, the owner of a private bank. Even though he does not make his appearance, we get to know a lot of details about him from the characters of the play. Throughout the play, he is projected as a corrupt man who has been arrested for misappropriating the fund of the depositors of his own bank. Well, when the story begins, the Baldwin family is seated in the parlor of their little cottage. They are eagerly waiting for Mr. Baldwin, the head of the family. The situation seems to be a tensed one because the family just came to know from the media that Mr. Graysham has been arrested and the bank has wrecked. This is indeed a disturbing news for the Baldwin family. What makes them more nervous is the fact that Mr. Baldwin has gone to meet Mr. Graysham, who is going to be produced before the court the next day. Nobody in the family is quite sure of what has really happened. The latest news that comes about in the newspaper regarding the crash of the bank really puts Mr. Baldwin under suspicion. So, both John and Evie are under great tension. They suspect whether their father is also involved in the crash of the bank. We can see Evie raising doubts regarding her father's involvement. John, on the other hand, is really disturbed. He tells his mother that he had met Donovan, the assistant cashier of the bank. Donovan too feels that Mr. Baldwin might have known about the crash of the bank as he was a close friend of Mr. Graysham. But in spite of all these serious accusations about her husband, Martha somehow tries to remain cool by indulging herself in knitting. She trusts her husband so much and tells her children that she had never seen her husband doing anything wrong. The atmosphere outside is in keeping with the serious and disturbing situation happening in Baldwin family. The spreading darkness of the heavy clouds and the sudden flash of lightning indicate the arrival of a great conflict. The conversation that happens between Martha and her children throw light on Mr. Baldwin and his relationship with his friend Mr. Graysham. From their discussions, we come to know that Mr. Grisham has been arrested and he will be taken to the court the next day. It is said that Mr. Baldwin is the only witness and he is going to give evidence against his friend because he had seen Mr. Grisham misappropriating the fund in the bank. This, of course, shows the strong character of Mr. Baldwin. He is a very honest and a truthful person. He will never support anything that is undesirable, even if it is his friend. Another thing we come to know about him is that he never discussed about his work to his wife. That is why his wife and children get worried when the media puts him under the cloud. We also get to know that Mr. Grisham was very helpful to Mr. Baldwin. He even put his friend in a nice position when he started the bank. But remember, he paid him only $60 a week. Of course, this is a very less amount when compared to the post he has given. But Baldwin never complained. Instead, he was very grateful and obliged to his friend that he even named his son after him. But John, the son of Mr. Baldwin, is now in a very angry mood. He curses himself for having been named after a criminal like Mr. Grisham. He even criticized his father for assisting Mr. Graysham all these years for just $60 a week. Thus, from their conversation, we can sum up the character of Mr. Baldwin. Yes, Mr. Baldwin was an honest and a sincere person who does his duty without complaining. He was not haunted by any greed like his boss. Rather, he was contented or satisfied with what he had. You will surely get more details about him in our next presentation. Until then, it's goodbye.